aboard the Athletics Can't Wait Jets podcast, your nonstop shop for all things Jets. Now here are your hosts, Tim McMaster and Connor Hughes. Listen safely.
Can't wait.
For the second straight game, the Jets come uncomfortably close to winning, but in the end, they're 0-10 despite a valiant second half comeback and officially eliminated from the playoffs. Tim McMaster here along with Connor Hughes, our Jets beat writer at The Athletic, and our producer, Marissa Morris. Thanks for joining us. Please subscribe wherever you listen to the podcast. Give us a 5-star rating on Apple as well. Good show on tap. We're going to get into Justin Fields a little bit because I think everybody in Jets Nation watched the Ohio State game on Saturday. Connor wrote about it. We'll talk about it, but we're also going to talk about the Chargers game because that's what we're coming off of. And we're coming to you at 10 a.m.-ish, even though this was scheduled for 10 p.m. Connor getting his a.m. p.m. mixed up, but we're ready to go.
Yeah, I give myself a little slack. I mean, I did like the one thing is we schedule these podcasts now, which I think is pretty cool because I think it adds SEO value and all that fun stuff and potentially draws in more listeners. I don't know. I don't think there's any downside to it. So although it was hell for Marissa to try to figure out how we were going to make that work early on, and I know we went through a little bit trying to figure out how to actually start the scheduled stream. But yeah, I mean, I watched the game yesterday. I covered the game yesterday. I wrote the game. And then I was like, oh yeah, I got to schedule the podcast. And yeah, I made a mistake. AM, PM. I don't know. I think it's better we're coming at AM, although I'm curious what the viewership would be like if we actually started at 10 p.m. as opposed to AM. That would be interesting.
Well, I think it's pretty funny because you wanted to. I said I was very tired this morning. You know, it's Monday.
Marissa overslept.
I'm not
too, yes.
hungover.
That sounds like someone who's.
I work on Sunday nights. Okay, Connor.
Oh, that doesn't mean anything.
Well,
have you covered? Did you watch? Oh no, I was gonna say if you watch the Jets, that's even more reason for it.
But the best part is Connor was going to come on here and make fun of me for me saying, guys, I'm really tired. You know, it's Thanksgiving week. It's just a lot going on. And he was going to make fun of me. Yet now he just like makes fun of himself basically because he scheduled the podcast for 10 p.m. So it's karma, Connor. Like even you just thinking about making fun of me comes right back.
It backfires.
You. Yep. So don't even.
I'm cracking up though. I don't know if you've glanced over here in the chat and the vast majority of people that are, it's 10:11, it's 10:13, it's 10:23. I was like, oh my God, I'm never going to live that thing down. That cracks me up though. Welcome, it's 6:30.
The thing that people don't understand is that like, even though we expect to start on time, we also don't actually get on the Zoom until like 9:59. So chances of starting on time aren't great. Yeah.
All right. It's Monday morning, everyone. Cut us.
I did actually woke up early. I said this. I said this to you guys. I was actually up at like 8:15 because I've randomly been having nightmares again. Like, I don't know. It's like I'm 12. I'm having nightmares. And the best part was like, it's the most cliche thing in the world. And it's like the one thing you kind of stereotype to it's like there's all the memes out there about when this happens with women. But I think Bree got in my head with like the nightmares because like 2 nights ago, she like woke up and was like legitimately upset, like pissed. And I was like, what the hell happened? Like, is something happened at work? I was like, well, you're waking up. How are you this mad? She's like, you cheated on me in my dream.
Evil Connor in the dream.
What? Yeah, you cheated on me in my dream. And now I'm really upset. I'm waking up and I have chest pains and stuff. And I was like, for a second, I was like, you're being so silly. Like, it's a dream. Why are you letting it impact you? But then I did say to her, I was like, oh, you love me. I was like, you really do love. I was like, yeah, you know, I figured like, yeah, I suppose she did agree to marry me. So that's obviously a step in the right direction and all that. But like, wow, you like the thought of me being unfaithful, like made you really upset. I was like, it's kind of sweet. And she's like, that is not sweet, Connor. That is not what we're doing here. It's like, no, you cheated on me in my dream. Why? And I was like, oh, here we go with this again. It was brutal. But we made it through that. But now I'm the one with the nightmare. She's sleeping soundly next to me, and I'm the one with the nightmares.
You know who's having nightmares? Everyone that watches the Jets. Let's be honest. Mm-hmm. Let's get back to some football.
That's the kind of transition we get from not frozen Tim that I like, that I miss. That's the kind of, I miss that.
Not frozen Tim is going to try to stay around the entire episode today. So the Jets go down 34. What was that, Marissa?
I'm praying. Don't leave which is Connor.
34-28 to the Chargers. There were little things that we could be excited about with this Jets team coming out of that game. But the thing that I think probably hurt the most was just seeing Justin Herbert play, right? 277 yards, a couple touchdowns. In the first half, he actually set NFL rookie records for completions and yards in the last 30 years, basically. He finished with 366, 3 touchdowns. And I think this was probably the kind of the thought process for a lot of fans watching the game. All right, here's a rookie quarterback from the Pac-12, went to Oregon, West Coast guy, comes in with all these expectations and all these weapons, and he's tremendous. And it made you think like, oh, is this what Sam Darnold could have been?
That's the nail on the head, man. And that's honestly when I was watching it, because they're similar guys, I mean, I think Herbert's a little bit bigger, but they have similar builds, similar play styles in terms of like, they're guys that can stretch the field with their arm. Herbert's obviously has otherworldly arm, but like Sam has an arm that can make every throw. They're both accurate. They can move around within the pocket. They're best when a play breaks down. I mean, they have a lot of the same physical skill sets, and they're the same type of quarterback. And that's honestly what was kind of going through my mind when I was watching it, was like, man, you wonder if like what Herbert, if the Jets did for Darnold what the Chargers have kind of done for Herbert, if it would have gone a different direction. And it is a little bit in a way apples to oranges comparing their situation, because the Chargers weren't really like this dysfunctional franchise for the last 10 years. When they had Phillip Rivers and LT, they were winning 14 games. Schottenheimer, they were right on the cusp of making a Super Bowl. And for a while, they were the best team in the AFC. They just couldn't get it done in the playoffs. And then, obviously the people left. Instead of Vincent Jackson, you went to Keenan Allen. And instead of LT, you went to Melvin Gordon and then Austin Eckler. So like the players and faces have changed, but the Chargers last year had a pretty talented team, both defensively and offensively, with those weapons with Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, as we said, and Hunter Henry. Like, they had all of these pieces there. They just had some issues last season where they happened to find themselves picking pretty high in the draft, and Herbert was there. So we're like, all right, time to move on from Phillip Rivers and start anew with a young guy. So Herbert did go into a situation that Sam has never played with. Sam's rookie year, he was throwing to who was it? Like Andre Roberts and Jermaine Kearse and Deontay Burnett toward the end of the year. And obviously Robbie Anderson. And I mean, those guys in no way, shape, or form compared to Keenan Allen or Mike Williams or Hunter Henry. I mean, there's just, I don't know, Hunter Henry's a tight end, but there's just no comparing those situations. The offensive line in LA is not top tier, but it's still more serviceable than what Sam Darnold dealt with years 1 and 2. And the defense for the Chargers, again, Bosa and Ingram, and the secondary when Derwin James is out there and their corners are rocking and rolling with, damn it, when their corners are
drink.
Yeah. That's going on our bingo card. When like those guys are going, like their secondary is good, you know what I mean? And they can make plays, and looking at them and saying like, wow, like that's just a perfect situation for a quarterback. What could Sam have done? What would Sam have done if he was throwing to Mike Williams, if he had Keenan Allen, if he had an offensive staff with quarterbacks coach like Pep Hamilton and an offensive minded head coach in Anthony Lynn, who, yeah, he's offensive minded, but also kind of has control of the team, all that stuff, just watching Herbert light it up. It did, 37 of 49, 366, 3 touchdowns, 116.5 quarterback rating. He's got 22 touchdowns this year in 9 games. Sam Darnold's got 22 touchdowns in his last 19 games. It's just, again, I always go back to it. The Jets, Sam Darnold's failing, not necessarily because of Sam Darnold, but because the Jets failed him. But you look at what another young quarterback's doing in a situation that is really ideal, and you wonder, like, if you flip them, if you put Sam over there, like what would happen? And I don't know, maybe we'll know next year when the Colts make a trade for Sam and we see what he does in Indy.
Yeah, that's something Dane talked to us about last week, was just like for every team, every time a quarterback goes into the NFL, it just depends so much on the situation that they're in. And this is the tale of 2 situations, that's for sure. All right, so good performances, though, for some young players, although not for the full game. For some reason, this team continues to just kind of be one half bad, one half good. This time they switched it around, maybe because that's how the Chargers have played all year. But the Jets were the team that was better in the second half, as the Chargers almost blew yet another lead in 2020. But you look at some of the better performances on this team. One of them will go to the big man, Connor, Mekhi Becton. Now he left with another little injury, but came back. But Joey Bosa, just not a factor when he was lining up on Becton's side. And it seems like each test that comes, right? Like Becton has faced different guys throughout the season, but now you get that prototypical speed rusher in Joey Bosa. Doesn't matter. Becton just handles it, and Bosa just kind of left that side.
Yeah, that's I think that was one of the more impressive things, honestly, that I saw out of that game. And in a season that's lost with the Jets being 0-10, steamrolling, like we've said, toward the top pick in the draft, the lame duck coach, kind of a roster that is a barren wasteland of talent. I mean, there's a lot going wrong with the Jets, and you are looking for even the slightest semblance of a silver lining to hang on to. And I think Becton is it. And Adam Gase said, after the game that, Melvin Ingram and Bosa, they tend to move sides and switch sides, yada, yada. Okay, fine. I don't necessarily buy that, because every time I looked, Ingram was not, or Bosa was not on Becton's side. Bosa was switching over there. And that's not how the game started. I mean, everyone, when you have a player that is a first round pick, like Becton was, he's going to have attention drawn to him. When you're a defense and you're a top tier edge rusher and you start hearing about, the pancakes Becton has and how good Becton is, yada, yada, it's almost like, all right, well, I'm the Pro Bowler. I'm the all pro. I'm the guy who just got a massive contract. I'm going to go show the rookie what it's like to be in the NFL, because I'm not in my first year. I can beat him with my tricks. I know the tricks of the trade. I can do what I'm going to do, and I can beat him. And so they kind of, all these guys want to go over and try their hand. And Nick Bosa did it originally before his injury when the Jets played the 49ers. You had, who is it the Jets play? I think it was somebody with the Chiefs tried their hand over on him as well. They've constantly done it. So this was the next time for Joey Bosa, where he lined up atop from Becton on those first couple of plays on Sunday and the first couple series. And he was like, all right, I'm going to go against him. And he went absolutely nowhere, was just completely stonewalled by the massive mountain that is Becton on the left side of the Jets offensive line. And what had me cracking up, and I give Damian Woody, who works over at ESPN, credit for pointing it out, because he's the one who first kind of triggered it in my mind, is that after those first couple of plays, Bosa was like, I'm done. That's enough for me. I'm going to go over and try my hand with George Fant on the other side. And I mean, he ended up being stifled there too. Fant had a pretty good game. I mean, the Jets were helping him. They had running backs over there, tight ends chipping before they got out, but still, he did well as well. But to see Bosa go from rushing and I'm going to try the rookie, I'm going to try the rookie side of the line, I'm going over there, to then kind of take his lunch, take his ball and go home to the other side and try it on Fant. I mean, that's as respectful of a sign as you can get for an offensive lineman. And the hammering home of that, as well as the only other time that I really noticed Bosa go back over to Becton, was when Becton went out with a knee injury. So Becton came out for a series, and then he came back in. When Becton came back in, I think Bosa probably realized, okay, Becton's back in. Maybe he's not healthy. I'm going to go try my hand on Becton again. Gave it 2 rushes. Then he was right back over on Chuma Adaga on the other side, because Fant left with an injury. So I was impressed by that. I thought it was funny. And honestly, as long as Becton can stay healthy, because that's kind of the X factor here, it's pretty obvious that the Jets have a guy that has the ability to not just be a franchise left tackle and a guy that they can put over there and feel confident in, like they had in DeBrickashaw Ferguson, a guy who maybe not necessarily the best of the best, but you got a left tackle and you're fine with him on the left side. With Becton, I think you have a player that has Pro Bowl, all pro, best left tackle in the league potential, because not only is he big, not only is he strong, but you see his athleticism week in and week out. And when you can start stonewalling as a rookie players like Nick Bosa, Joey Bosa, Frank Clark, and others, I mean, it's a sign you're doing things right. It's a sign you're doing things right.
And he did leave briefly with the injury, which seems like a weekly occurrence. Is he one of these guys that's just extra careful when he feels a little tweak? Or, I mean, at what point are we concerned that he can't play a full game?
Yeah, it's to the point now where I'm noting it. I'm making note of it, where it's almost like, man, Becton's out again. I mean, the Jets, the last, like we said, the last franchise left tackle the Jets had was DeBrickashaw Ferguson. I think that guy missed 1 snap in his career, and it was when Rex Ryan tried a trick play. You know what I mean? So he was always out there. I mean, it's normal for sometimes for guys to come out, but with Becton, I'm not necessarily worried about the injuries yet. And it's because of the type of injuries that he's had. He had a shoulder ailment earlier. That's just kind of a little fluky, and he's returned from it. He's playing really well. Then he had that awkward chest thing, right? The weird, where he said it was congestion from a cold. I don't know if I necessarily buy that, but I mean, whatever. He was back the next week, but it was congestion from a cold, so he couldn't come back because they didn't know if it was anything serious. I mean, for me, I was like, really? I mean, but whatever. He had congestion with the cold. Now he's back in, and it's a knee issue. But then again, he was out for a series. The trainers checked him out, made sure everything was stable and fine, and he went back in there. With Becton, the one time that injuries will become a concern for me, and it's always a concern when you draft those mammoth people, like the massive offensive linemen. All offensive linemen are big, offensive linemen are tall, all are strong. But when you draft somebody who's not pushing 350, 360, but pushing 400 pounds, the one concern is that does your lower half of your body have enough to carry that weight in the way that you have to use that weight? Because, I mean, these guys are 370, 380 pounds and ridiculous athletes where, Becton's running just a shade over 5.0 in the 40-yard dash. I mean, he's getting out there running, putting a lot of pressure on his knees, putting a lot of pressure on his feet. So if he was dealing with foot sprains and ankle issues and ankle ailments and soft tissue issues below the belt, that's where I would probably say I'm a little concerned, because that's when you get to the point where you're like, he's too heavy. He's just too big for his body. He needs to lose weight. And we talked about in the offseason, in training camp and OTAs, where it was, is Becton too big? Is there too much weight? He's talking about how he wants to lose weight. The Jets are saying they want him to lose weight. He apparently lost a lot of weight from Louisville, but then showed up to training camp still needing to lose another 5 or 10 pounds. So it's that was a little red flag for me. Seeing him now get hurt, it's just these issues aren't concerning me yet. His weight isn't why he had chest congestion. His weight isn't why he hurt his shoulder. His weight isn't why those problems happened. If next year comes and he's missing them because of stuff happening below the belt, or his weight starts to balloon again and his work ethic starts to die some, that's when there's a concern, because you see that happen with some offensive linemen in the NFL that are on the upper half of the scales.
All right, one more young guy to talk about. I was going to bring up Perine, but we've learned now that he actually got injured in that second half, and that's why the carries weren't quite there at the level of Gore, which is something that we've kind of gone on and on about. But Mims, 1 target in the first half, just makes you want to pull your hair out. No catches, but then we saw what Mims can do in that second half. He's been the other way this season so far, where he's had big first halves and then been quiet after the break. So at least I guess he quieted that criticism. But he ends up having a big day, 3 catches, 71 yards. On top of that, a couple of defensive pass interferences as well. And the thing that stood out was these weren't like, okay, he made a move, he got pretty open and the quarterback got the ball to him, simple pitch and catch. This was like contested balls, and he went up and made the play. And to me, when you're talking about a player that you're going to want to be able to go to in big spots, Mims showed that kind of ability on Sunday.
Yeah. And we're looking for silver linings, right? Like, we're looking for like a sign that Joe Douglas might be the right guy, or we're looking for a sign that the Jets can turn this around. They might have weapons, yada, yada, yada. I don't know how to stress this enough to Jet fans that want to hear it. I don't know how to make this abundantly clear to the people over at One Jets Drive. The Jets have a player on their roster right now in Denzel Mims, who is the player that so many teams covet, because he has the ability, and we've seen it every game he's played since he came back from those hamstring injuries. He has the ability that when that ball is in the air, to just find a way to come down with it. The odds are against him. There's good coverage. There's safety over top. There's not a lot of separation. It does not matter. Mims has the ability, when it is up there, to find a way to track the ball, get the ball, see ball, get ball. That's what he has the ability to do. It is Brandon Marshall-like, and probably the last Jets receiver that had the ability to do those types of things consistently was Brandon Marshall during the 2015 season, before obviously he kind of aged pretty quickly. Before that, you probably have to go back to Braylon Edwards in spurts. And before that, honestly, I don't know, because this guy is physically imposing. This guy is a physical specimen. This is a guy that maybe he's never going to be a route technician. Maybe he's never going to be the Marvin Harrison of route running, or the Michael Thomas where he's catching 100 balls for 1,500 yards a year and 15 touchdowns because, he's just beating guys off the break. It doesn't necessarily matter, because that doesn't need to be his strength, because what he can do to just make a play happen is remarkable. That play he had down the sideline in the third quarter, where the Jets have the 3rd and 8, Joe Flacco's in the shotgun. He's one-on-one with Casey Haywards in lockdown coverage. Flacco basically said, screw it, I'm giving the rookie a shot, and threw the ball up. Forget it, throwing it up there. We're going to see what happes.
Which we need to see more of, right? That's what we need to see. Just throw it up there.
Exactly. And that's what Mims did. I mean, Mims got off. He engaged with Hayward where their bodies kind of locked, high pointed the ball, saw the ball, tracked the ball over his shoulder and made a grab and then toe tapped his feet in bounds for the grab. He has the ability to do things like that whenever the ball is in the air. When you have a player with that capability, when you have a player with that skill set, you throw him the ball, dude. You throw him the ball 5 times in the first half. You throw it to him 5 times in the second half. You throw it to him 5 times a quarter. I don't care. You give the guy a chance to make plays. I don't care that the Jets recovered a fumble and then ran right into the end zone. The fact that Mims saw 1 target in the first half, it's completely unacceptable. And you see why in the third quarter. The Jets offense stinks. They are not good. They do not have very many playmakers on the field. They are an 0-10 disaster. Who gives a damn anymore? Throw the ball up and see what the kid can't do. Just feed him the ball. There was a point there in the second half where every time the Jets threw Mims the ball, something good was happening. He was making that gorgeous over-the-shoulder grab, toe tapping his feet. He was making the back shoulder turning catch. He was drawing 2 defensive pass interference calls. This guy is so confident in himself when he steps on the field. He believes he is the best player on the field. And when you have that confidence in yourself and it is authentic and genuine and not an act, it's going to allow you to do things that maybe you shouldn't. And the fact that the Jets somehow continue to just be like, forget Mims is on the field, it's unacceptable. Because if you're in a tight game and you're trying to run the clock out, okay, maybe. But this isn't this. This is a bad football team losing games that just needs a spark. And you know where you get a spark? Just throw it up and let the kid go make a play. And honestly, late in the game, the Jets probably should have tied it because those 2 passes that the Jets threw to Mims, one on the left side, one on the right side, both were defensive pass interferences and shouldn't have given the Jets a first and goal inside the 5-yard line. And the fact, I mean, that's the things that happen. That's what happens when you throw Mims the ball. It's unacceptable. It is completely unacceptable when you find a way or when you cannot find a way to do that in the first half. Just take a shot. Just throw it up there and see what the kid can't do.
Imagine if they did that.
The Jets finally have a guy that can do it. They finally have a guy that when the odds are stacked against him, he still finds a way to come out on the other end.
I'm picturing them scoring late and then having to go for 2 to tie it, not getting it. And then us all, the Jets nation, thanking Sam Ficken for the ultimate pro tank, missing the extra point early, allowing them to lose the game late. Yeah. All right. We need to take a break, right, Marissa?
Yes. And we have a message from our favorite DraftKings. 'Tis the season for giving, and to celebrate the start of the most joyous time of year, DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is giving all players the opportunity to cash in on a no-brainer this Thanksgiving. DraftKings Sportsbook is giving you a chance to double your money if either Baltimore or Pittsburgh score a touchdown in Thursday night's game. I mean, come on. All it takes for you to double your money is 1 touchdown. Yes, you heard that right. All you have to do is opt into the promotion, place your bet, and then sit back and watch the ball enter the end zone. Easy as pie. On top of that great offer, DraftKings Sportsbook is offering all new players a deposit bonus of up to $1,000. The holiday season is a time for family, so curl up on the couch with your favorite sportsbook and make it ring. DraftKings is safe, reliable, and secure, making it easy for you to deposit and withdraw your money at your convenience. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code FAST when you sign up to get this can't-miss offer. DraftKings Sportsbook is giving you the chance to double your money if either Pittsburgh or Baltimore score a touchdown in Thursday night's game. That's right. All it takes is 1 touchdown for you to double your money when you use the promo code FAST during sign-up for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older. New Jersey only. Bonus comprised of first deposit bonus. Deposit bonus requires 25 times playthrough. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
We got the new DraftKings copy like 30 seconds before we started the podcast. So Marissa with the cold read. Good job.
Marissa some slack. Fighting through it. I'm impressed. Marissa's reading. That sounds weird. I was going to say her reading skills, but then I was like, everyone's going to think I'm questioning the reads. Like when we have reads is what I was saying. So the advertisement skills, I should say. Yeah. When I was about to say, Marissa's ability to read is really impressive. Like, it sounds kind of bad when you don't realize that the commercials are called reads. I was like, somebody's going to be in the comment section like, that was kind of degrading. It was a little It's a little mean to say.
A little rough. All right, one more ad. This
little
football
harsh.
season will be different, and Pepsi is here to get you ready for game day no matter how you watch this season. Even if you're only watching Clemson and Ohio State games the rest of the way, Pepsi is the refreshment you need to power through game day and become a member of the League of Football Watchers. These passionate fans are the real generational talent that Pepsi fuels, because Pepsi isn't made for those who play the game. It's made for those who watch it. Pepsi, made for football watching. Go to madeforfootballwatching.com to check out the latest football watching content from Pepsi. All right, I want to get to the Gase Loggins like handoff of plays and Herndon a little bit too. But one little note from the chat, DeWitt McDidit, shout out, saying that he's just here because he's a Browns fan and he's cheering on the Jets to an 0-16 season to match them. So we're not just bringing the Jets' futility is bringing us Browns fans.
You want to know what's wild? Well,
you should listen to Civilized Barking on the Athletics Podcast Network. I produced that
hopefully,
podcast as well.
Hopefully he's listening to both. Yes.
Yes. Zach Jackson, Jason Lloyd had a great recap of yesterday's game. So check that out.
Well done, Marissa.
You know what? Yeah, I tell you what, Browns field goal unit's been one of the best in the league. Another one, they got to let the one go, but PATs, field goals, I've been wildly impressed with them this year. But
Cody
I do want to make this point. I got to give Chris Strauss my editor, a big shout out for this, because I never connected these dots. But just touching upon the Browns note, if the Jets actually finish this year 0-16, like if they lose out, I need to run the number. Like I don't have ESPN stats and info like the Athletic, and this is not we don't have a straight statistics department that I can just say, hey, when is blah blah blah, and just pick a random thing and then somebody will just find me that information where it's like, oh, actually in 1927 this happened in this game when it was this weather at this time of the day. Like we don't like that's just a very beneficial thing for them, so I have to manually run these numbers. But if the Jets finish 0-16, I'm fairly certain that Greg Williams will become the first coach in NFL history to be a part of 2 winless ball clubs. I know he'll definitely be the first coach in NFL history to be a part of 2 0-16 ball clubs, but I think he might be like ever. And there might be more, like when you look at his staff, because he brings everyone everywhere. It's like a fraternity, like the same defensive staff that he had with Cleveland is now the defensive staff with the Jets. It's what he does. But I do find that like fascinating. Like Chris reached that out to me. I'm wondering when I should drop that in the the Friday press conference with him. Like, hey, Greg, what do you think about being the only coach in NFL history to be 0-16 twice?
He'll really enjoy that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, on Zoom, at least he can't
get a good answer.
Yeah, right. He can't come after you.
Yeah, I know. That was like when we were asking him about, I think Kaz was the one we were pressing him about Bounty Gate, because Odell, when the Jets played the Browns last year. Yeah, it had to be last year. When the Jets played the Browns last year, Odell said he was told by his teammates that Greg Williams was telling people to take him out. And Greg told us in the press conference when we had it, like the ensuing day, like Odell said that Monday and we were in there Wednesday, or Odell said it Wednesday, we were in there Thursday, whenever the hell it was. Greg was like, that never happened. That would never happen. And Kaz was like, there's literally tape of you admitting this, like admitting to a bounty program. Like there's literal tape, like your voice video of you. And Greg's like, not true, not true. Next question, not true. And it's like, you can't hide that, man. It's like you got a picture of you with your hand in the cookie jar and you're saying you're not touching cookies. I mean, what the hell are you doing in there? Like, wild. But yeah, 0-16 twice. That'd be freaking wild. That'd be nuts. I never in my head did I piece that together. So shout out to editor Chris Strauss.
Good job, Chris. All right. Speaking of coaches, weird. I guess it's something that has been going on for a few weeks, but we didn't know about it until after the game on Sunday, because it appeared during the second half that Adam Gase had taken back play calling for the game. And if that was the case, I'm surprised he didn't take credit for it, because the offense looked great in the second half. So it would have been a nice little story that, hey, Adam Gase, after stepping away for a few weeks, gets back into things and finds his rhythm and has this offense moving. But apparently that's not what was happening. Dow Loggins calls the play. Adam Gase then takes that call and then delivers that to Joe Flacco, which it just seems strange. And to put this into perspective, we're going to bring in the great voice of Michael Dunn 1A, who on the chat said, when Marissa and Tim have something to say, do they have to pass it through Connor before being communicated to us? Asking for Gase and Loggins.
Should be the reverse.
It's just weird.
You guys should be my filter.
Right. What is the point?
10:41. Connor will never live that one down.
Ever. No, I might as well just add it to my Twitter bio at
Yes.
this point.
Okay, answer Tim's question.
Where were you going, Tim? I
thought-
totally lost you when Marissa said it's 10:41. I totally missed the question. Was it about the
Just about the
outrageous-
fact that this is just weird and unnecessary. And it
Yeah,
doesn't
I mean,
matter
look,
right now because they're all getting fired, but like it's just weird.
I'll ask around. I gotta ask around. I mean, this is literally like the next day, but I'll make some calls to our. When he said it, because like I opened, I was like, hey, it looks like you gave up play calling it, or you took back play calling. It worked. He's like, I didn't take back play calling, and then he goes like, well, I was like, wait a minute, so you. I was like, and in my head, I was like, I was still trying to process what he was saying. He goes, no, he goes, I call Dowell calls the plays. I just read them to Joe. And like he said, I was like, that makes no sense. I was like, wait, so you're saying that it was almost like the scene in the interview where like the Eminem scene in the interview where he's like, so when you say this, you mean blah, blah, blah. And so it was honestly like, I was like, wait, so you're saying that Dow calls the plays to you and you relay the plays to Joe? And he goes, yeah. I was like, and then I was there were like a million of things. And then Rich, I give credit to Rich for bringing it back to be like, no, wait, seriously. So what you're saying is blah, blah, blah. Because it makes like, I got to reach out to see if this is normal. If Mike McCarthy doesn't call the plays, right? I'm pretty sure that with the Cowboys, it's more. It's the offensive coordinator more calls the plays, but you always see McCarthy there with the headset. Like, I don't know if Moore is talking to Andy Dalton or is Moore talking to McCarthy. I mean, I gotta check in with John, our Cowboys guy, and see like if that's actually the case, because I don't know. But like that just immediately when he said that made absolutely no sense. Like, you're just asking for trouble, man. Like, and like Adam's like, well, it helps on 2-minute drills and it helps like, you know, for and it doesn't take that long because all Dow has to say is play 25. No, there is still a thing. Like, what if the radios go down? Like, what if you're just adding another cable to the mix? Like, and well, Dow says play 25. So Dow, like, the NFL is like all about up tempo and getting as many plays in as possible and all this stuff. So Dow's looking down the play sheet. He's like, maybe this one or that one. Okay, yep, let's going to go play 25. All right, Adam, we're going to go play 25. Adam goes, okay, do I like play 25? Yeah, I'll run play 25. That sounds pretty good. Okay, Joe, and then he reads like you're just taking at least, right? Like I would say that
was like 6-7 seconds right there.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Play clock's ticking and yep.
Yes. So if you're in like it's a 45-second play clock right there, you just blew an extra 5 to 8 seconds, I would say, that you don't need to blow compared to if Dowell is just talking to the quarterback. And like, I get that like Adam wants to have a say, I guess. And he said, like he confirmed he has veto power, even though he doesn't veto anything. Like he'll never veto the call. He's always going to run it, but like he does it. And then in 2-minute drills, he was like, well, in 2-minute drills, I need to run the play. I need to call the plays. And I was like, yeah, in 2-minute drills, you do need to call the plays because like thinking about it now, like obviously in 2-minute drills, he has to call the plays because you don't have time for the 8-second delay. Like you don't have time for Dow to pick the play to go to Adam to then go into the quarterback. So Adam, you're now cutting out the middleman, which could just be cut out anyway if Dow just had a direct line. And he said that, but what was weird is like all throughout the time, I watched the camera angle when Adam first gave up the play calling, and you saw like basically Adam, and we can talk about this. Like, I don't get the whole Adam just standing on the sideline the entire, like I thought when Adam gave up play calling, it would like mean he was more involved with like, he would be with the quarterbacks and then he would be with the receivers. And then he'd be over maybe with the defense as well. Like you heard with Joe Judge and the defense. Yeah. Like Joe Judge with the Giants, like the whole thing where you said, like, where you realize he's a special teams guy, but he's their head coach, right? Offense coordinator, defense coordinator, special teams, all that stuff. Well, he saw the offensive line struggling, this is vast matured reported by, I know Dan Duggan had some of it and all these other people, our Giants guy, Dan Duggan. So he had Joe Judge realized the offensive line was struggling. So he went over and spent time in practice with the offensive line. They started getting better. I thought that like by Adam giving up play calling, he would now be over at different points, but he kind of just like stands there on the sideline. So like I thought he would be more involved. So now that I know the play is going from Dow to Adam, I was like, okay, well that's why he's not over it, because he's still having to relay the play in. But even then, I never saw him. I don't know. I got to go back and watch the film because I don't remember when he first gave up play calling the first 2 games. I don't ever remember the cameras seeing him on the sideline reading the play in like last week, like yesterday. I mean. Like it's just so weird. It's so odd. And maybe it's just because Adam doesn't know how to do it. Like he said, it's been 10 years since he didn't call plays. because he called the plays every game in Miami. He called the plays when he was in Chicago. He called the plays when he was offensive coordinator of the Broncos. So it's been 10 years since he gave it up. So maybe he just doesn't know how to give it up. Maybe he doesn't know that, like, no, when you give it up, you're not supposed to talk to the quarterback anymore. Like, you can talk to him on the sideline, but the relay is there. But still, like, I can't make sense of, I can't make sense. It doesn't. And Adam kind of explained it. And now, I mean, we're talking to him again today at 4, and it's not right after a game. So, like, maybe he'll be more able to explain it. But, like, it to me, it does not make any sense, because you're creating a middleman when there doesn't need to be a middleman. You're creating a delay when there doesn't need to be a delay. And it's just like, why? But I mean, again, I tweeted this after the game. Like, at this point, who the hell cares? Like, at this point, like, does it make sense? No. Is there an easier way? Absolutely. But who gives a damn now? Like, who cares, dude? Like, it's they're 0-10. They're going towards 0-16. Whatever gets them Trevor Lawrence. Like, it really just doesn't matter anymore.
And if this helps get him Trevor Lawrence, so be it. All right, one more thing from Sunday's game, and then we'll get to some other stuff, including Justin Fields on Saturday. But in first half, Chris Herndon over the middle, wide open, hit him in the hands. He drops the ball, and everybody says, well, yeah, that's what Chris Herndon does. But then in the second half, we got a glimmer of hope here, Connor. There was a tremendous catch he makes for a 26-yard gain and a first down. And then the touchdown. Is this what Chris Herndon needed, or was this the outlier? And the next 6 games, we're just going to go back to him dropping wide open passes over the middle. That's the mystery. I hope
so, man. You've been saying the Jets have been saying one play. Just they need to get the guy one play.
Well, you got 2 plays, so here we go.
Yeah, but they haven't, right? Like they haven't gotten the one play yet. Like they haven't gotten the one play in any of these games. He's made a couple catches, but they've always come with like asterisks, whether it was like a short gain or like he didn't catch it, or then like it was just he hasn't. He's caught passes since the opener against the Bills, but they've been for like 2 yards. There hasn't been the play. And what the Jets have continued to say is like there is nothing physically wrong with Chris Herndon. He's healthy. He's practicing every single day. They've had talks with him. Like Adam Gase has met with Chris Herndon. Dow Loggins has met with Chris Herndon. His positional coach has met with him. They've had teammates go and meet with him. And everyone is basically saying like, dude, what's wrong? Because you can see he's mentally in a funk. Are they like, dude, did like your girlfriend leave you? Like, are you like okay at home? Like, did something happen? Like, are you getting hit really hard? Like, basically just tell us what's wrong. Tell us something's wrong. And all Chris Herndon says is, I'm fine. I'm good. I'm fine. And it's like, well, that makes it worse, because if you're fine and this is happening, what the hell? Like, it's just been like what they've kept stressing and they've kept like hammering home, like from the Jets, is like, he just needs that play. He just needs like that moment to get going, right? Like even the one pass he caught where it was, it's an option route. He caught it where it was a fumble that was then overturned. I think it was the Cardinals. I think the Jets were playing the Cardinals, where he ran in the middle of the field, kind of did a curl, and then he has an option to cut left, right, or sit. And he cut right, caught the ball, broke into the open field, and actually fumbled the ball. But because he recovered it himself and the play was blown dead and all that stuff, like even that play, it's like it's a nice gain. It's like, oh, maybe that could get him, but he still fumbled it, right? So the Jets have just been waiting for this moment. Like they've been waiting for him to make the play. And that gorgeous diving catch that he made against LA, that's a hell of a catch. Like, forget who you are. It doesn't matter. Like if Travis Kelce did that, we'd be saying that's a hell of a catch. If prime Zach Ertz did it, that was a hell of a catch. If Jeremy Shockey, was one of my favorite players growing up, did it, that's a hell of a catch. Like that was an amazing. And then to follow it with the twisting back shoulder grab for the touchdown and then getting in the back of the end zone. I mean, those are the 2 plays that the Jets were like, we need a spark. We need this guy to get going and then they can roll, right? Not rock, but roll. They can really start going.
Do we do like half a sip on that? What's the...
Yeah.
That's a shot.
Grab it.
Yeah. They do like, you just get them going. And obviously we don't know yet if that's going to be the spark that gets this thing rolling for the final 6 weeks of the season. We don't know, but there's at least some optimism now, because before the unicorn was dead. It was dead. There was no hopes and dreams, cut him, trade him, all that stuff. But now if this kind of sparks them a little bit, these final 6, you can hang your hat on Herndon in 2021 as another weapon. And now suddenly say the Jets re-sign Brashad Perryman. They go out and they add Allen Robinson or Kenny Galladay. Now you have Allen Robinson and Denzel Mims split wide, Jamison Crowder in the slot. Brashad Perryman is your deep threat. Chris Herndon with confidence and what you hope you see the final six going into next year, a new offensive coaching staff, and you have a foundation on offense that can be a Charger-like situation for Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields.
And we'll still feel bad for Sam Darnold at that point.
Yes, that's true. At this point, I'm over it. Whatever. He's gonna go to Indy, play behind Quentin Nelson and that stellar offensive line, be handing off to Jonathan Taylor, throwing to Michael Pittman again, who's over there and looking good and all this. I mean, he's gonna be fine. And he's gonna go to Frank Wright, who's a hell of a head coach. He's a hell of a head coach, and he'll be just fine. Sammy will be just fine. He'll be better.
Herndon first touchdown since week 16 of the 2018 season. All right, one more break.
Who was that against? Do you know?
What's that?
Was that Green Bay? Yeah, I know he scored against Green Bay. I can't remember who the Jets played in week 16.
I don't remember.
Oh, okay.
I
didn't know if you had
that predates the Can't Wait podcast.
That's fine. I didn't know if you had the game log up.
A healthy life includes a healthy sex life, but if you struggle with erectile dysfunction, you may not feel like your best self. If you want help with ED, Roman connects you with a real U.S. licensed healthcare professional who can prescribe the medicine you need. With Roman, you can get a free online evaluation and ongoing care for ED, all from the comfort and privacy of your home. A healthcare professional will work with you to find the best treatment plan. If medication is appropriate, Roman will ship you real medicine with free 2-day shipping. The whole process is straightforward, simple, and discreet. Getting started is simple. Just go to getroman.com/wait and complete an online visit. Erectile dysfunction used to be tough to talk about, but now there's Roman. Complete an online visit today to connect with a doctor and take care of it. Just go to getroman.com/wait to get $15 off your first order of ED treatment, a free online visit, and free 2-day shipping. That's getroman.com/wait for $15 off your first order of ED treatment. Getroman.com/wait. All right, Connor, Justin Fields.
When you're doing ED ads. I just want to say that. You know you've made it as a podcast when you're doing ED ads.
Is that it?
That's just it. I was also... Thank you for not giving me prep that read was coming. Like, thank you for that, Marissa. Like, that would have been a good one to know. Like, hey, just so you know, when you're on camera and they're like, people can watch you the entire time, Tim's going to do an ED read because it's 10:53 and I'm still like only halfway through my coffee. So all I heard was like, when you're sexually blah, I was like, huh? That's when you need us to go, boy. That's okay. Oh, man.
If you looked at the rundown, you would have saw that.
Tim texted it to me. Tim texted me the rundown. I saw it.
Well, we have another rundown. That is like the brief, Connor version. Like, okay, just so you have sort of a clue of what we're going to. But I actually thought, Tim, you really should have just said, all right, Connor, you're up now for the Roman read.
Yeah, can you do the Roman read?
And just
actually, that would have been because that would have been like, I mean, okay, I can like I've done live reads before, and then I wouldn't have gotten through it.
Your live intro the other day did so well. Your live Roman read.
I can do reads though.
It's 6:30 p.m. Get yourself some Roman.
I wasn't ready for it though. I mean, that actually would have been a good prank. That would have been a good prank. I probably would have gotten through like the first 3 words, and then it would have been like one of those, and just immediately staring at your box, like really.
As he's giggling.
I should come up on the camera. Really?
All right, moving on.
Justin
from 2020 to 2021, as we check in on Justin Fields, Ohio State with a challenge on Saturday. Not early, but late. Indiana got back into it. Justin Fields, I'll admit it, not at his best. Connor, you kind of broke it down in your column about Justin Fields. I would say maybe you were a little harsh, but you were talking about just that game, which is fair because everything you said about that game was fair. The decision-making was terrible, but it didn't seem like the same Justin Fields that I've seen in other games. And even going back to the national semifinal last year in the college football playoff, when they lost to Clemson and he threw the interception late, it was because his receiver fell down. This was the worst game I've ever seen Justin Fields play, but I'm willing at this point to say that it was just one game and this guy is still great. But, what did you see? Just kind of break it down for us now on the podcast, what you saw from Fields, what didn't impress you, and what did.
What's funny about that story is like I remember talking to Chris, my editor, and just kind of putting together like the game plan moving forward. Because, I mean, I've covered bad Jets teams before. I've covered teams that were eliminated from the playoffs, but I've never really covered a team this bad. So it's like, all right, well, what are we going to do? So we tried out on Friday, like a Jets watch guide. And it was like these are the games. Like, if you don't want to watch the Jets, here's like Saturday before the Clemson game I canceled. Here's when Trevor Lawrence is playing. Here's when Justin Fields is playing. Here's when Iowa State's on if you want to watch Matt Campbell. For Sunday games, you don't want to watch the Jets. This is when the Jaguars are on. This is when the Colts are on. This is when the Seahawks are on, because the Seahawks obviously impact the Jets draft pick. Like, stuff like that is what we were trying to do. And so after I ran the watch guide, I was like, oh man, I was like, I did a Friendsgiving at my buddy's house on Saturday, but I was like, before that, I'll just watch the Ohio State game, and I'm not looking at this through, like, I'm not breaking down the all 22. I'm not doing like the he missed this read because he didn't get to this level. Like, I was like, that's not my thing. I've made that abundantly clear before. Like, I am not a scout. When I want opinion on players, I talk to executives, I talk to talent evaluators, I talk to scouts. Those are the people, and I talk to Dane. Like, those are the people that I talk to, and they will give me my opinion on players. I was like, but look, I'm not doing anything until we're leaving at 4:00 on Saturday for this Friendsgiving thing. Which, shout out to Rodney for giving a banging deep fried turkey. And it was socially distanced. There were only 8 of us there, so everyone it wasn't illegal. Like, don't send Murphy to my house. But we had, like, it was all fine. Like, it was all set up, and I was like, all right, I'll watch the game. And what was funny, though, before we actually get down to what I saw from Fields, is that as I wrote what I saw from Fields and made it abundantly clear, I'm not an NFL scout. This is just what I thought from watching him for like the first real time. Is I when we write a story on The Athletic and before we file it, it says like tag the teams that are involved here. So always I just tag the Jets. So for this, I was like, oh, well, I'm also writing about Ohio. So I tagged Ohio State. Chris runs the story. I wake up the next morning and I go on the comments section of the story.
It's all Ohio State
fans. Freaking eviscerated, dude. I am getting, and I'm like,
I went through the whole thing this morning because I had seen somebody apologize to you. So I went through all the comments in that article, and it was entertaining.
I was just destroyed, and I'm like,
maybe that's why you're having nightmares.
Yeah,
it might be, but like, seriously, like, what reading it, I was like, I feel like I have a pretty solid grasp and pulse of the Jets fan base. Like, I do feel like I have a general idea of what's on their minds, what they want to read, what they don't want to read. When I send a tweet that's risky, I know the tweet's risky. When I send a tweet that I know I'm going to get like Adam Gase apologist blown up in my mentions, like, I'm ready for it. It's why I took my mentions off. But like, I feel like I have a good idea of the Jets fan base. So going throughout that comment section, I was like, God damn, I misfired on this one. I was like, why do they hate me so? I was like, man, Jet fans love Justin Fields. I was like, they are obsessed with him. And then all of a sudden it dawned on me. I was like, I tagged Ohio State. So my column on, I don't think Justin Fields is all that good, or I don't think Justin Fields is as good as Trevor Lawrence, wasn't just sent out to the Jet fans, which would probably read it and be like, yeah, I thought that too. I would definitely want Trevor Lawrence over him. It was also right into Buckeye Nation on The Athletic and right on there. So I was like, the vast majority of those comments are not Jet fans. They're very, very angry Ohio State fans. And I'd said to Chris, I was like, when we write the Trevor Lawrence one this Saturday, if Trevor, there's 3 picks, I'm not tagging Clemson. I'm not doing that, because this was not meant for Ohio State people. But honestly, I think what watching Lawrence showed me, like, I think, or Fields, I should say, not Lawrence. What watching Fields showed me is just, I think there's a gap. I think that there is here's Trevor Lawrence, and number 2 is Justin Fields, but there's still this. Like, this is still there for between Lawrence and Fields. Like, Lawrence is the number 1 quarterback in the draft. Lawrence is going to be the number 1 pick. Fields is a nice consolation prize, but I don't think it's a coin flip. I don't think it's a toss-up. I don't think you can say, I'm going to take Justin Fields over Trevor Lawrence. I don't think that's possible. And there's a lot to like about Fields. I mean, there is the elite level arm strength. You saw it on the first play of the game when he hit that guy down the seam. I mean, that's there. I love the fact that he doesn't drop back thinking about running. He runs when he has to, or he runs when the play breaks down. He runs on read options, but he realizes that his greatest weapon is his arm. So he's not looking to run. He's not like Lamar Jackson. He's not like Kyler Murray. He's more, and I mean this from a running perspective, like Daniel Jones from the Giants. I'm not comparing Fields and Jones. I think they're in different stratospheres. But I like where Jones drops back for the Giants, you can tell, like, the only time he runs is when all things break down or when the Giants dial up a read option. I see Fields doing that kinds of thing. I love his size, 6'3", 220, right? 220, 230. I mean, he's a guy that clearly is not, again, like you would get worried about Mike Vick taking hits and dropping, Kyler Murray taking hits and dropping. Like, you're not worried about that with him, because you realize he can take a hit and stand tall. He can play within the pocket. Obviously, he can break out. Like I said, you saw the accuracy. The 2 things that scared me the most were the decision-making, because this is the first real team he played. I mean, he beat Penn State, Nebraska, and Rutgers. I mean, it's not it's not exactly murderer's row to open the season. So this was his first real test, the first solid, really above average defense in the nation. And he was making throws where he's being brought down to the ground. He's just chucking balls up in the air. It's like, you can't do that. And the fact that he thinks it's okay to do that made me a little nervous. That was one. But again, decision making, you can iron it out. You can work on it. Some guys always make that. They're always that gunslinger. Some guys you can work it out. The thing that actually scared me more than the decision making is how the announcers kept stressing over and over and over and over and over again about how he holds onto the ball too long. And he holds onto the ball too long. And the reason why that makes me nervous is that you can develop and you can make a guy more accurate when you work on his mechanics and the fundamentals. Look at Josh Allen. He's always going to misfire, but you can work on accuracy. Arm strength is probably the most overrated trait from a quarterback. As long as you can make every throw, you're fine. You can work on footwork. You can work on fundamentals. You can work on decision-making. You can work on reading a defense, getting through your progressions. You can work on all that. And if you have a really good offensive coordinator, you can make some of that stuff irrelevant. What you can't always develop and what you can't always improve, and I know this from talking to coaches, is pocket presence. That's kind of like an innate ability. And some guys can find it later in life. Some guys can get better. But if you have a tendency to hold the ball too long, sometimes the reason why you're holding the ball too long is that you don't feel the rush around you. So I remember talking to one coach actually about Daniel Jones when he was like struggling with all those fumbles last year. I was like, man, like he makes some good throws, but what's up? And the coach said, he goes, he doesn't realize that there's a defender around him until he's picking himself off the turf. That's when he realizes someone's there. And I was like, oh, well, he'll get better about that, right? And he goes, no, that's sometimes, but most often that's you have to feel it. You have to have a feel. Like you watch Tom Brady, right? Like Tom Brady,
great example.
Moving around in the pocket. Eli Manning was another guy moving around the pocket. When you're talking about a guy holding the ball too long in college and you see where he's being brought down and all this, I wonder if Fields is holding the ball too long just because he doesn't know the rush is coming. And that would scare me. Again, not scare me enough to be like, this guy can't play, or this guy's a second round pick, or this guy's a third round pick, or God, stay away from him. But I think it's why you have a gap and why there is a difference between Trevor Lawrence, who obviously makes the reads, which again, you saw a lot of Fields' throws are telegraphed. He's dropping back and he knows the ball is going to this position. As long as I throw it there, the guy's going to be open. Fields
and the guys are always open. We'll say that about Ohio State. He is surrounded by unbelievable talent.
Yeah, 3-4. I mean, guys have 3-4 yards of separation. So, I mean, it's next level like that. Again, like Trevor Lawrence knows how to get through reads. Trevor Lawrence knows how to move within the pocket. Trevor Lawrence's only bugaboo is that he sometimes doesn't slide, which you can learn. That's another thing. You can learn that in the NFL, unless you're Ryan Fitzpatrick, but you can learn that in the NFL. There are just enough things about Fields. And again, I'm not a scout. I'm not breaking down the all 22. I haven't watched, 35 hours of this and gone over every single one of his starts dating back to 2 years ago. But it's enough I saw enough on Sunday to be like, Trevor Lawrence is my number one. Trevor Lawrence is my number one, and Fields is my number two. And if the Jets finish number two, they'll draft Fields. But if the Jets finish number one, they're going Lawrence. And I don't think it's close. Like, I think it's Lawrence is the number one prospect. He's the best in the draft. And then you have Fields, who's your number two.
I think that's fair. One thing I'll say as far as criticism, and this didn't come from you at all, Connor, but I have seen this criticism from other people, may have even made it into your comment section. But the argument that Ohio State quarterbacks never make it in the NFL, which is just such a bad argument in one way, because Ryan Day is there now. Okay. Like, this isn't Urban Meyer. This isn't the mayor, Tressel before him.
Tressel, yeah.
This is Ryan Day, a guy who's only been there since 2017 when he was the quarterbacks coach. And before that, he has NFL experience as a quarterbacks coach. I think you can't judge those past Ohio State quarterbacks like you can Fields because of the caliber of coaching that he's got in the last 2 years from Ryan Day. So I won't hold that against him, the fact that he went to Ohio State. I agree with you in that I think that, who knows when they get to the NFL, right? We could talk 10 years from now and Justin Fields ended up being the best player. But I agree, if you have the number one pick, you have to take Trevor Lawrence. I think another factor with that is I think Trevor Lawrence is probably going to step in and start from day one. And I wonder if Fields may need half a season before he gets thrown in there, right? To kind of, there's just a little more adapting. And maybe that's because Trevor Lawrence is playing in his third full college season, whereas Fields, transferred to Ohio State and it's only his second season, had to learn a different offense before he was at Ohio State. There's just been more he's had to go through. But yeah, I think Fields could take longer.
I'm right on board with you with
Yeah.
the Ohio State thing, like where it's like, oh, you can't play quarterback because he's from Ohio State. Like, I think it's just tired. I think it's a lazy excuse. Like it's not something I would put in. Like, why would you draft Joe Burrow, right? Because Jamarcus Russell came out of LSU. Like it's pointless. Like who is the great Clemson quarterback before Deshaun Watson, right? Like it wasn't it the kid the Jets drafted in like the 7th round. Rex is like the guy Rex thought he was going to play, and the guy was like one of the worst quarterbacks. I forget his name. He was number 10.
Oh no, that's
Taj Boyd. Yeah, Taj Boyd. There
Taj
you go.
Boyd?
Yeah. Yeah, like that. Like it's Texas Tech. Like who was the last elite level Texas Tech quarterback before Pat Mahomes? Like it's just
right. They were all
lazy.
system quarterbacks, right? That at Texas Tech, they couldn't make it because they were only good because of the system. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's some that I think that maybe holds true. Like Baylor, I'd probably be a little nervous about with like the whole Bryce Petty thing, right? But Bryce Petty came out, he was drafted in the 4th round, if I'm not mistaken, and it was because it was like, yeah, he has all these great college numbers, he looks great, he can make all the throws, but he's never had to read a defense. And then he gets to the Jets and he's starting, oh, I love this NFL coaching because now I can read defenses in Madden. And it was like, what did you just say? So it's like, it's crazy, man. But like, I don't buy that. That is not something that to me is on my mind. That's not something that would scare me off of Fields. It's not any of that. I mean, look, the guys can develop traits, guys can get better. And I wouldn't, again, my whole thing, and it's just my whole thing. It's just that like, I watched that game against Indiana, top 10 nation defense, saying like, okay, I want to see why he's better than Trevor Lawrence. I want to see why it would be a coin flip. I want to see why this is like, man, 1-2, 2-1 doesn't really matter. You're good either way. And, or you can go whatever you want with number 1 pick. Instead, I saw a guy that like has a ton that people will love: size, athleticism, the ability to run, but doesn't rely on his legs, arm strength, accuracy, command of a team, a leader. Like he has everything you want. But he's just, I don't think he's Trevor Lawrence. Like, that's just, I don't know. I've talked to enough people about Trevor Lawrence. I've seen enough from Trevor Lawrence over the last year. I watched him when he won the championship a couple years ago. Like, it's just, I saw him, I was like, man, that's a guy. And I almost feel similar about Lawrence, watching Lawrence, as I did about Deshaun Watson when I watched him in the BCS national championship game. And I was like, or the college championship game. And I was like, man, that guy's, I remember I was like, I don't care what people say about maybe he did this. Like, what he just did for Clemson to bring him back and win, I was like, that's it. He's the guy. Take him. Like, if the Jets need a quarterback, take him. And obviously the Jets thought they had Hackenberg, so they didn't. So that blew up in their face. But I liked Watson. And I feel the same way about Lawrence, where it's like, the guy's going to do it. He's going to be good. He's it. That's it. And Fields, I think, can be good. Probably, like you said, needs a little more work. I wouldn't take Fields over Lawrence ever. I guess just my personal opinion.
All right. That is going to do it for us, I think. Another edition of the Can't Wait podcast. We're going to be back on Friday. Once you get all your Black Friday shopping done, jump on with us and we'll be talking about the Jets, getting you ready. Or once Connor's done his Black Friday shopping too. Online this year, right? Online only, Connor? Yeah,
well, I've been online the last pandemic, not talking about the pandemic, but I used to do, like when I was in high school, my friends and I would have Thanksgiving dinner, and it was more fun when like the stores didn't open until like midnight, because my friends and I would all get together and we go to like Walmart and Target, because they always had the top video games for like $20. So my friends and I would like go have Thanksgiving dinner, then we'd like take a nap and we'd all like get hyped up on coffee and energy drinks. And then we'd go out like shopping to all these places and wait in the lines from like 12 a.m. until whenever we were done at 6, and then we'd go back home and like play the video. I remember getting like the Modern Warfare 2 for super cheap and like Left 4 Dead for super cheap, like all that stuff. And it got kind of a lot less fun Black Friday shopping when they started opening everything at like 5 p.m. on Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
like that's
terrible.
not Black Friday.
Especially
like,
for people that have to work, by the way. Like, hey, leave your family and go work at 5. Terrible.
Family, yeah. Why? Like, I'm having Thanksgiving dinner. I'm trying to get my Thanksgiving dinner done at 3 to then pop out to go to Walmart to get a video, like to get a toy. Like, I'm good, man. Like that's when it became lame. So like the last 3 years, the same exact deals are all online. Why not just Google everything? I know Marissa's been hunting down a PlayStation. If she ever finds one of them, she got to pick up 2, because I'm trying to get my hands on one of them. And
I think everyone is trying to find one.
Yeah, like I'm all over that stuff. I want a PlayStation. I want the
if
Xbox.
anyone has any tips, tell me, not Connor.
Yeah, drop them in the comments. Yeah. Exactly. But yeah, I've been I'm all online now though, because it's just the same deals are there. I'll actually make my list when we're done here, because I'm not writing today. I wrote yesterday, so I'm going to go and make my list of all the places I want to hit and the deals that they have and what I want to try to get. I'm usually a big electronic guy.
Black Friday, Cyber Monday. And if you really want a great deal, come back to The Athletic on Friday because we're going to be running the best deal of the year. Not available yet, but if you hang on a few days, $1 per month for a full year. The best deal you'll find for The Athletic. If you want to get it, come back on Friday, theathletic.com/the Can't Wait podcast. We're on Twitter. Connor's at Connor_J_Hughes. I'm at Tim M. McMaster. Marissa's at Marissa_Morris. Have a great day.